Hey everyone, Shawn Clement here with the question and answer of the week. I'm obviously choosing it to do here because I know a lot of you struggle with this. It's going to be with the driver, of course. Here's our new photo blue driver from Nike, which has some really nice reinforcements for the season. Feels that much more solid, and the ball comes off that much hotter. That's besides the point, though. So we'll talk about Steve P. And he left an important comment in my driver, my first driver video in the premium channel. And he says, I had a lesson with Pro, and he noted my blocks and slice with driver was club face open at top and coming through open. He liked my rhythm and my twirl to target, etc. He has encouraged me to flatten the wrist at the top to close the face and maintain through to impact. It works well enough, and I can now produce a draw. However, it can be unreliable to manipulate the left wrist in this way, and I don't feel full power. And you won't. So, however, I previously struggled to get draw just by closing the face more at grip stage. I closed even more than you in this video. Help me back to non-manipulation, please. A draw is very useful at my golf club. And you bet it's useful, in a lot of different golf clubs. So let's have a look at that. Number one, if you feel the need to square your club at impact because you feel that you're going to lose the shot to the right, that means that your grip-club relationship did not start closed enough to begin with. And I know many of you, when you're looking down at the club, I'm gonna put the club on this side here, just so we can see with the hands there. So you see how closed that is? Well, when my hands come through first at impact, notice the shaft lean? That doesn't look all that closed anymore, does it? So that to you, right? I have several students that have this at address, and I bet you right now when you're looking down at this and you're thinking, boy, Shawn is off the charts, crazy. But we're going to be here through impact. We're collecting here and releasing out there. So what you see at address is completely different than what's going to transpire at impact. So if you're looking down here at that club and you're saying, okay, I'm going to swing to the target. So you have to put your mind in a dynamic state of you releasing to the target. And now it feels like when I set up, with that much closure on the face, in my mind, it feels like, holy mackerel, I'm going to have to hang on to that and keep it open. So let's have a little, I'm going to release this toward the keep out sign. So keep out, keep out, keep out. So that felt like there was no way I needed to close my club face through impact. I could just release to keep out. So that's number one. Is it closed enough at address that I could take my throws? I could throw the club out there nice and deep and not have to worry about closing the face. So when you do release out there and you don't have that worry, and the ball curves too much to the left, if you can confirm that you felt way more speed out there than you did down here, that means you were through the ball. And if the ball's curving left, then that's when you know your club face at address was too closed. And then all you have to do now is just open the face back up a little bit. Now, if you have it that closed and it's still going to the right, then there's something going on with your release that's not jiving, okay? So I put a little video of Bubba Watson in the description here, and you'll see that at minute 2.39, you're going to see a very specific release here. I call it the backhand topspin ping pong release. So if you were playing ping pong, do it with your dominant hand. And imagine you're snapping a ball over the table, making it spin. So you're going to have to collect it here, and notice how the elbow's kicking down, and that's kicking the back of my hand over the top of the ball. The back of my hand is basically like the racket. And that's making the ball spin down back on the table. So that top spin really makes the ball, dive onto the table and gives it some, a big release. So if you do it this way, then the ball is going to backspin. It's going to tend to float up and go past the table. So you're going to have to, when you're doing these cut spins, you're going downwards because that sucker is going to have the tendency to fly up. And here you're going upwards because it's going to dive down. So on your way through, take the club in your lead hand, right at the base, so hold it right at the bottom of the shaft, and feel that same backs or topspin backhand ping pong release. So if I do it towards you, look at the face of my club or the face of my watch. See how my watch kicks down? So here it comes. See how the watch is facing up? Let it release. Notice how the watch is kicking down. So I have to allow the weight of the club to release me. So notice where that is actually getting that nice release. So when I'm doing that, notice how my left elbow kicks down. See how the club face looks mighty square here, and then that elbow kicks down. Notice how it snaps that club closed and releases it to my target. So I'm collecting the ball compresses on the face, and then I'm releasing the ball to the target. So once you get the full measure of your release there and not there, so we can confirm that I felt the weight of the club. So if you take it in your right hand and you use that as your sword, notice where the weight of the club is releasing my hand. Here. Left hand. Here. There's the beginning of the cut. There's the end of the cut. There's the release of the anatomy. So when I feel a full release of my anatomy there, how's the ball flying? So once you've got the full release, you'll see how the ball stops going to the right. Now, to address this thing about the club face at the top, that's what, typically when a teacher who does a lot of video analysis is going to look at the club face at the top. If you look here, this basically is a square face. That would be closed, and that would be open. So notice how I'm using my wrist to manipulate that. Well, how much do you manipulate it by? So it's like, okay, the club face is this much open, so we need to do this to square it up. All right, now I got it. But now what happens when I go to the target? And you'll notice that when you're doing that with your wrist at the top of the swing, could you imagine going fishing that way? So I want to cast my fishing pole. So notice how I got this beautiful set on my wrist here, but now I'm going to go, no, hang on a second, I need to bow my wrist. Well, shoot, it feels like I can't cast that fishing pole with as much velocity and as much support. So it's the same thing in the golf swing. So when I go to the top of my backswing, I know I'm hinging properly when both wrists are hinging on their anatomical snuff boxes. So I feel this beautiful set on both my wrists right there. So notice the club face is dynamically square, nicely hinged. I'm going to release that into my target. So notice on the other side, when it releases, see how the club face is on plane, quote unquote. None of that matters. All I want to know is how's the ball flying. So when I unleash my energy in the direction I want the ball to go, because that's my target, how is the ball flying? So when we've confirmed it, we use flight scope to confirm that release. So if I'm doing a fade, I'm going to go left edge of that wet paint sign. I got my intermediate point right there. So I'm going to feel a nice whip in that direction. So notice right now, my club face is much less closed. And when I gather, and release, I am collecting open, releasing slightly open to get my fade. I feel with this grip club relationship, I can get a fade. So let's have at it. Yes, I released in the direction I wanted to. So the ball started in the direction I wanted to. That tells me the face was closed enough. And that felt like it had a little bit of, side spin on it when it came off the club face. You'll feel that, okay? Right now, you may not be aware of it, But eventually you'll start being aware of the difference in that sensation. So if I do my draw, close it more. Notice when I'm going to catch it on the way up, see how the club face doesn't look as closed anymore? It looks like I can catch it on the way up. Fantastic. So now I'm looking for that very specific sensation of when I let the club release me over there, it's going to feel like that top spin backhand release. So have at it. Spot on. Exactly what I was looking for, and very, very much like the release I was looking for. So I know that would be my, 2 to 5 yard draw, following the right center of the fairway, coming back to the center of the fairway. Okay? So I hope that was helpful. I know it was, and I know it's going to help you out big time. So stop manipulating. Start with something that's closed enough. And then if you feel like, oh my gosh, if you have to close at 90 degrees, there's definitely something wrong with your release and you're not releasing as effectively as you should. Okay? Enjoy that.